Okay, before we get this review started, I wanna say a couple things. If any of you are here to watch me slam on this movie because it's an all-female cast, you're an idiot and I want you to leave. Watch somebody else's video. Now, on the other hand, if anybody is here to watch me praise this movie because it has an all-female cast, you're an idiot and I want you to leave. Okay, now that we got all the idiots out of the way, let's just talk about this for what it is. A movie. It's lazy time and we're gonna do a review. Yes, we're gonna review. Talk about movies and comics too. Let's all go watch the Hello everyone, I'm LaserDude99. Welcome to another LaserDude review. Today's review is the new Ghostbusters movie, Ghostbusters Answer the Call, starring Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, and Leslie Jones, and Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, so let me just say, when everybody else saw the trailer, and I saw the trailer for this movie, I hated it. I hated the trailer. I didn't hate the movie, because I hadn't seen it yet. But, unlike a lot of people, I did not hate it because it had an all-female cast. That had nothing to do with it. And let me be clear, I will not focus on this movie's failings on the sole fact alone that this is an all-female cast. I will talk about them casting an all-female cast, but this is not going to be a movie review where I say this movie sucks because they're all women. What bothered me with the trailer was my main concern going into this film, and what we're probably mostly going to be talking about in this review, is tone. That's right, tone. But before we get into that, let's go over the basic story. It is a retelling of the Ghostbusters story, but this time it is all women that are the characters who come together. If you think that's important to the story, it shouldn't be. It should just be these characters, but it's such a selling point to the movie that they have to shove it in your face. Hey, these women it's all women. Why couldn't we just call this the new Ghostbusters team and not focus so much that they're all women? You know, let's just that be part of it. You know, anyway, I'll get to that. But once again, that's not the problem here. Anyway, these four women characters come together and they find a ghost. They find a ghost and they all decide to band together. Two of the characters knew each other from the past, Melissa McCarthy's character and Kristen Wiig. Kristen Wiig's character has kind of gone off and tried to do her own thing, you know, serious science, but when she sees a ghost, she gets roped back in, and her new friend, played by Kate McKinnon, comes along with him, and then they eventually come across Leslie Jones. So ghosts are popping up all over New York, but they're trying to bust them, but they're also trying to prove that they're real. But as they're trying to fight all these ghosts and prove that these ghosts are real to the public, they are also confronted with the fact that, you know, a lot of disbelief. People don't believe them. And behind the scenes there is this guy named Ronan. I think it was Ronan. Not Ronan, Rowan. Anyway, Rowan is starting to use these devices to cause mystical upheaval. Alright, now that I've gone over the basics, if this wasn't a Ghostbusters movie, I'd kind of say this is a harmless film. You know, it's just, whatever. It's not good, really, but it's not awful. The problem is it is a Ghostbusters movie. This is not an unfunny film. There are laughs in here, but not big laughs. But the problem is the tone. Let me just say, the tone of this movie is awkward, silly, stupid humor. And I'm not saying the movie is stupid because it uses this type of humor. I'm saying that's the style. The characters are doing a lot of rambling, like, oh, wow, I did. Oh, look, nice abs. Oh, did I say that out loud? Oopsies. You know, that's the type of humor they're going for. The characters are awkward or extremely stupid, and the awkwardness is supposed to be, you know, what makes it funny. It's the characters being all like, oh, what? They said something weird. Oh, stuff got everywhere, in every crack. You know, that, like, it's like, oh, well, that's just an odd thing to say, but that's funny, right? It can be funny, but that's the problem. It's not Ghostbusters! Ghostbusters humor is dry. It is so dry. There is no awkward, stupid humor in here. Do you notice in the Ghostbusters movie how confident they are? Peter Venkman is getting fired in the beginning of the film. He said, "You're a poor scientist," and he's not like, "Well, I don't think you understand the true work that I do here." You know, Peter Venkman's just like, "But the kids love us." And the kids obviously don't love him. There's a thing on his door that says, "Screw you, Venkman." So obviously the kids don't love him. He has this, like, all the Ghostbusters, they're unflappable. You can't flap them. The Ghostbusters in the original could care less if you think the ghosts are real or not. Okay, maybe not care less, but, you know, they know what their work is. They know it's important, so it's not important to them to show the world, "Hey, look, there's real ghosts," you know? Where these girls, it's like their whole obsession that other people need to see their work and to verify it. And to be like, "Look at us, we are right, we're right, we're right." It really comes across as self-centered, but a lot of it has to do with that tone. Chris Hemsworth's character is so over-the-top stupid in this, it is impossible to take him seriously. Let's compare Chris Hemsworth's character to the silliest and probably, you know, the dumbest character in the original Ghostbusters. Lewis. Lewis is like a genius compared to this guy. Why? Because he wasn't a moron. Lewis was confident as everything, you know? Like, he may have been, like, a little nervous to talk to Dana because he obviously had a crush on her, but he went up to her and was like, "Oh, hey, Dana, I just gotta, you know, put my thing on full speed. I got a great workout." You know, he was confident. All the characters were confident. None of these characters have any self-confidence, and that makes all their humor this stupid, awkward-sounding humor, and it's just not Ghostbusters. And it really hit me coming out of this film how really difficult the tone of the original Ghostbusters is, because it's a comedy first, but it also has paranormal and science fiction elements into it, but it's also like part horror. It's like part action, part comedy, part horror, part paranormal. The original Ghostbusters film has such a unique tone, I don't even know if it can be duplicated. Actually, you know what? I do. It was in Ghostbusters 2. What? Hey! Okay! Enough! You know, I'm not saying it was a good movie, I'm just saying the tone was consistent. Look, Ghostbusters 2 is not a good movie. It's not. It's a complete retread as the original. But it had the tone, the characters, and it's not even that big of a deal that they're all the original cast. I mean, it helps and everything, but the tone still felt like it was a Ghostbusters movie. The fact that it's a complete rehash of the original and it's just not as good, doesn't have as many memorable lines and whatnot, is what makes it not really a good movie, but I can still pop in Ghostbusters 2 and enjoy it. I think Viggo, Scourge of the Carpathian, is way more interesting than this other guy who's just... The villain in this movie is just a dweeb. He has no motivations, he has no thing, and what did they do to him at the end? It's just stupid. Okay, I touched on, like, Ghostbusters has all these complex tones, right? Well, let's see if they capture any of them, okay? Comedy. Well, I've already gone over that. The comedy is not the same. Ghostbusters humor is mostly Bill Murray humor. Very dry. The most yelling moment in the film is Bill Murray yelling. Where he's like, "Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria." And even that, he's not really yelling, it's Bill Murray yelling. You know, it's not really that loud. Where the characters are always yelling or always mumbling awkward stuff, they're always off. So it doesn't capture the tone of the comedy. How about the science fiction element? Actually, yeah. The way they handle the technologies in this is really, it's okay. You know, it's fine. It's not as good because I think they go a little too far. This lady goes from building a proton pack from one day to building, like, all these other stuff the very next day. So it's just like... Well, dang, I mean, if you could just do that, I mean, what kind of... You should be working for the military if you can make all these explosives and stuff, whatnot. I will say, though, like, there's a scene where they're fighting all these ghosts with these different proton streams and everything and whatnot, and I'm just like, you do realize proton packs don't destroy ghosts. You have to put them in the trap. It's a very normal thing with Ghostbusters. You can't destroy ghosts unless they're in the trap. I mean, duh. Well, unless you get into the Ghostbusters video game, but they don't really go into the detail that the Ghostbusters video game went into with how different things can be destroyed by different elements, but that's not important. Next element, horror. Not really. I mean, there was one moment that made me jump. I was like, oh! But I saw this in 3D, and it had this stupid, gimmicky 3D thing where they had the wide screen, and then the character's stuff would sometimes go off the screen into the black parts of it, and I'm just like, oh, come on, that is so gimmicky! Okay, don't come here with that! This is Ghostbusters, treat it with some dignity, not this, like, carnival ride 3D crap. There's a moment where Leslie Jones' character leans over and her necklace is in the black part of the screen. I'm like, oh, come off it! And that's what this movie really feels like. It's really gimmicky. Like, everything's a gimmick. This whole movie is a gimmick. It's even hiring all women is a gimmick. Look, you want women as Ghostbusters? Get women as Ghostbusters. But when you're doing an all-women Ghostbusters team as a remake, that raises an eyebrow, and it's a selling point. That's why they can say, hey, we can sell this. Make it a feminist piece. Like, oh, if you don't like it, then you hate women. That's not it. You are using people's emotions and genders to sell your movie. Maybe it's just this guy, this director, Paul Fig, maybe he can't write other movies that are about men. Why? I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at his movies, and, they're all these overblown, types of comedies. And I'm not saying an overblown comedy can't be funny. I'm just saying Ghostbusters isn't an overblown comedy. It's very dry and very underhanded. Bill Murray, when he says, yes, this man has no dick. He's not saying, yeah, this man got no dick. Oh, yeah, oh, give me a high five. Oh, lift it up, look it up, look it up. I think this guy really tried to direct what he knows, and I guess what he knows is Melissa McCarthy. Now, the Ghostbusters themselves are fine. They're not awful characters. I don't remember any of their names, really. None of them ring a bell. Not saying these guys aren't memorable characters, I'm just saying they don't have memorable names. I'm all over the place with this review. I'm sorry, it's Ghostbusters. And this isn't Ghostbusters. It's something else. But not a good something else. Not something else where I'm like, oh, I want to see where they take this idea and move on with it. I'm thinking more, oh man, I just want to rewatch the original. Because everything that it touches on, the original does better. Everything. The characters are just... I feel like when you try to do a movie that's a message movie that's like, hey, women can kick butt too, and I'm going to make a Ghostbusters movie showing that women can kick butt, that's not as good as just making a movie where a woman kicks butt. When you're trying to put a message in your film, like, hey, look at this. This is what I want you to look at, because this is the message I'm showing. It distracts focus from the story. Honestly, what they should have done is obviously as clear as day. Make a sequel, have the original cast, maybe you couldn't have all of them, because, Bill Murray didn't want to have anything to do with it, but if he was able to cameo in this one, he would have cameoed in the other one. I'm saying, just make a sequel. The kid in the second one, have him all grown up. He wants to fight ghosts now. He was interested in, even though Venkman's not his father, he raised him as him. He's interested in his work. He and his friends from college reboot the Ghostbusters, and they restart a team of young, new Ghostbusters. You can have guys and girls. Have a team. Like, that story just writes itself. Here you just go back to the drawing board, but you lose all your notes of all the good things you had. You're going back to the beginning, and you can't expand on the story, and you're just retelling. I didn't like it. I didn't like this movie. It fails on every level to be a Ghostbusters movie. As a movie on its own, it's just mediocre at best. As a Ghostbusters movie, it just fails. It has nothing to do with their women or not. If this was an all-guy cast, it would have still sucked. Hollywood doesn't owe us anything. It's true. We kind of have this idea that, Hollywood owes us a great movie. They don't. They're a business making what they think will hopefully we'll enjoy, so we buy it and then it makes them money. They don't owe us anything. We were never owed a good movie. I just really wish we got one. I'm pissed off. Because it's just the humor. It's all low blow and awkward and stupid, and a character says something dumb and then all the characters look at them weird like, what? And it's just not Ghostbusters. That's not Ghostbusters. And the characters are like, well, we gotta prove that we're right. And the Ghostbusters past couldn't give a crap. And this tries to be too serious, and yet, it's like, as I say, Ghostbusters is so strange. Because it's just like, you had fun with the ghosts, but you felt the menace. I don't know, this movie got to me. It's not even that bad of a film. It's just that bad of a Ghostbusters film. Man, I don't know. Would it kill me to see this movie again? No. But I don't want to. You know what? I didn't even want a Ghostbusters sequel to begin with. Honestly, there's some things better left alone. Yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna end on this. Gotta give it my rating, though. This rating might be biased. Probably is, but I gotta go with how the movie made me feel. The fact that the movie wanted me to rip my ears off when I heard their utter awful version of the Ghostbusters theme song in rap is enough for me to put it at a 3 out of 10. I think this is an awful movie. None of it works. The villain is bad. The characters are fine, but they're not memorable. They're pretty by the book. I mean, we got angry black women, tech geek, nerdy geek, and another nerdy geek. What's the difference between Melissa McCarthy's character and Kristen Wiig's character? Really? What's the biggest difference? I mean, sure, they have this thing in the beginning where they're just like, hey, I'm trying to do serious science and you're still stuck in this ghost thing in the past, but as soon as they see the ghost, what's the difference? What is their different thing that they bring to the film? The first Ghostbusters movie, they're all scientists, except for, Winston. But that doesn't matter. Really. Egon is really nothing like Ray. Ray is nothing like Venkman. Venkman is nothing like Egon. And none of them are anything like Winston. You want a Ghostbusters sequel? You want a good Ghostbusters sequel? Okay. One sec. Play this video game. It has all the returning cast, all the great moments, the tone, the dialogue, the jokes, the humor, everything you would want from a Ghostbusters story. This film gave me nothing. And all I gave it was a 3 out of 10. I'm done. Audio. Be sure to check out more of my other videos on my channel, and wait for more coming soon.